Have you guys ever met somebody that's just like a really negative Nancy where like there's always like, let's go do this, and this person's like, no, like what if this happens or if this happens? They're always looking at the negative side of like everything. A quote that says, "A cynic is a man who, when he smells flowers, looks around for a coffin." I myself am a really negative Nancy. Like I don't like doing anything that's like really, impulsive or anything. I'm more of a let's stay home and watch Netflix type of person, or let's go to the mall and shop, instead of let's go to the alley and smoke, or let's go here and do this or anything. Like I'm more to myself. That's why I don't really have any friends or communicate with people. To me, this quote is kind of saying like, a cynic is basically someone that's really negative, obviously. So to me, it's like somebody going to a funeral or something, or just going to a garden and looking at flowers and automatically thinks of a funeral, you know? And there's a story of when I was really cynical to a situation. It wasn't that big, but to me it was, because I'm, more to myself. There was this guy that I used to like for maybe a year and a half, but I never bothered to say anything to him. And back in 2013, I finally spoke to him, and we started talking. And once again, me being cynical, it always takes me at least 5 to 6 months to actually get in a relationship with somebody, because I have trust issues. So we started talking to each other in June of 2014, and he asked me out 5 times, just in that month. And I kept saying no, even though I knew that I liked him a lot. And then when December came, I finally said yes to him, and we dated for 3 years and a half after that. And throughout those 3 years and a half, I was here being all in love and everything. And he seemed the same way. And I didn't have social media at the time. I didn't have Instagram, Snapchat, or anything. So here I was thinking he was being really faithful, but he wasn't. He was out here talking to girls. Apparently he had another girlfriend, but then they broke up. He would leave me, go hang out with the girls, do, little nasty stuff with them. And me, little child of God, I don't like doing anything, so, yeah, so I guess I just wasn't putting myself out there for him. So he would get bored of me, leave me, go hook up with girls, and then my dumbass would take him back for those whole 3 years, And to me, that's one of the things I should have kept back from, and not focusing on getting in a relationship. So I feel if I would have looked at the flower and just looked at thought of it as a funeral, I would have saved myself a little heartbreak. And then to this day, he's still always trying to get back with me and everything. But to me, it's just screw you. And yeah, ever since he's been getting his heart broken by so many girls. So I'm pretty proud of myself.
He's a terrible person.
Yes, he is.
All right, Stephanie, the rhetorical question at the beginning was fine as an attention device. I like the fact that you were clear with what the quote was and what your interpretation of it was. That was fine. There's not really a preview of what the supporting structure is going to be because there's not really a structure. You've got a theme that you want to talk about, and you've got a personal experience that you're going to use, but there's not really any pattern to that personal experience. It's just going to be sort of random observations based on that. So I think if you had a plan, you'd be a little bit more effective. And there was one spot where it really felt like you were struggling for a second, and then you just kind of went back to your story and found another detail that you could add in, and that gave you the confidence to keep talking, which is good. But like I said, if there was a plan, it would be a little bit easier for you instead of having to hope that you catch that hook as you're going along. Your voice, for most of the speech, it's easy to hear. There is a spot toward the end when you are rushing the last section of the speech where your voice drops out and you start talking faster, and it's a little bit harder to make out what you're saying, and it feels like that's where some anxiety is coming out, like I'm close to the finish line and let me just get there and not worry about how good it is at that point. And you don't really want to do that. You want to finish with a little bit more confidence. I thought that you had some pretty effective gestures. Although there are a couple of things that you do that are awkward. You do have your hand on your hip at one point, and I didn't make the reference to it before, but people do a variety of poses sometimes when they're speaking. There's the Adam and Eve pose where people are holding their hands in front of themselves like a fig leaf. There's the Superman pose where people put their hands on their hips, sort of like that. And you've got the little teapot pose where you've got, one hand here and this like the handle of the teapot. And it's not long, but it was long enough that I noticed it and I thought, well, that just seems like it's a little, your mother waiting to shake your finger at somebody coming up and telling you off, and you're going to give them your mind's worth. You're going to let them know what you think of them. The eye contact is pretty good. The most obvious things about your anxiety are nervous feet, and you're back as far as you can get against that screen, and I think you bounced against it a couple of times like, maybe I can get a little bit further back, and you can't. And you want to step into the speech. It's a little bit like a lot of physical activities. You have to kind of force yourself to step up to them. I imagine if you're at the plate in the baseball game and it's your turn to hit, you got to remember to stay in the box and step up and swing, not back off when the pitch is coming your way, unless it's coming at your head. And the speech is not coming at your head. It's just you want to be the one who's in control. All right, I'll stop there.